was working as a cashier at a grocery store out in Texas, making around 20 25. I had no sales experience whatsoever. My first year while working with you, I ended up basically tripling that income at least. Out of everything for like the income, it turned out to be around.
For years before becoming an agent? What were you doing? What industry were you in?
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, I was working as a cashier at a grocery store out in Texas, pretty much. I had no sales
Okay.
experience whatsoever, but
hmm
it was a good footing for in terms of like my introductory for sales, at least in terms of like
hmm
selling products and like just talk about products and stuff like that.
Nice. And I know obviously you said Texas and obviously you did make that transition out to Vegas, but what eventually made you get into something as far as insurance sales? Because it's quite a bit of a difference. What made you jump into that?
Yeah, so essentially then I was applying for jobs once I did move out here. Thankfully, Ushka was one of the opportunities where I was hired for. I
hmm
basically took the opportunity, well, mainly just taking a blind leap of faith, but thankfully it did work out for the best.
hmm Yeah, and obviously you were someone that, even in my early days is being an FTA, being the first level of leadership and being able to, even in my career, kind of transition from FTA to FSL to satellite, to pretty much being able to manage a larger team. You were kind of someone that was with me along pretty much every step of the way and touching a little bit about your growth, again, prior to the insurance industry and then after and during the insurance industry. Talk a little bit about how your income had changed from obviously working as a at a grocery store to jumping into your insurance industry and how you ended up making that change from year one, two, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so in terms of income, my income improved significantly. Essentially just working a part-time job at a grocery store, essentially making around 20 25 at best per
hmm
year. Well, my first year while working with you, I ended up basically tripling that income at least. So
hmm
it's already a huge improvement compared to like the very first year. And then after that, for second year, managed to double that income at well
So you
working into
did
the insurance industry.
60 because you started in
It's
2021 or 20
it's I started in 2022. For that
2022.
year, yeah, basically for the entire like nine, well, yeah, February, so like 11 months or so. Out of everything for like the income, it turned out to be around 77,000
Okay,
for
and that was your
following
first full
year.
year.
Yeah, it was the first full year. After that, for the following year, for a full 12 months was kicked in, basically doubling that, and my income was 154,000.
Oh wow!
So
And this was 2023.
yeah, that is 2023. And
And then
then
what did you end up doing this
last
last year?
Yeah, this last year ended up making 262.
Nice, nice, nice. So it's getting higher and higher. Hopefully this year you break 350. 400 obviously is the goal for you, especially now that you got agents for, your team and
Uh,
whatnot. But just diving a little bit about, being able to work together and obviously you being one of my top agents in 2022 and 2023, issuing over $1 million of business. What would you say I overall helped you with the most during our time together?
for what you've done for me the most, I would say self-development in terms of like increasing my confidence and also as well
hmm
communication skills too.
hmm
I think those were the biggest areas of improvement from when I had first started because didn't have the best start in
hmm
terms of having lack of confidence, even like talking to people. But you helped me show that over time that persistence and also being more believing in my capabilities of basically just talking to people. I feel like it helped out a lot in terms to be successful within the company.
Yeah, you were definitely, again, like I said, you were always one of those people that I wanted and hoped that, one day it worked out. And thankfully it did because you deserved it wholeheartedly with how much time and effort you were putting into this. And just being able to kind of see, how much you flourished since then is remarkable to see, to say the least. My last question for you here, and we can kind of wrap things up is, if people were on the fence, agents, agency owners, anybody in general were kind of on the fence, maybe 50-50 about working with me, what would you end up telling them?
I would tell them don't be hesitant, and you're actually a great leader. Honestly, I would count you as my first successful leader, honest, and for all that
Mhm,
you've done for me.
mhm,
The most appreciative thing that I still remember, from since you were my FTA, essentially is how good in terms of like basically just your communication. Like no matter what time of day, no matter what hour it was, anytime that I needed.
and for years before becoming an agent, what were you doing? What industry were you in?
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, I was working as a cashier at a grocery store out in Texas, pretty much. I had no sales
Okay.
experience whatsoever, but
Hmm.
it was a good footing for in terms of like my introductory for sales, at least in terms of like
Hmm.
selling products and like just talk about products and stuff like that.
Nice. And I know obviously you said Texas and obviously you did make that transition out to Vegas, but what eventually made you get into something as far as insurance sales? Because it's quite a bit of a difference. What made you jump into that?
Yeah, so essentially, then I was applying for jobs once I did move out here. Thankfully.